Life doesn't break you, it reveals you. Imagine you're a ship in the middle of a storm. The wind is fierce, the waves are crashing, and the world around you is in chaos. But what if the real challenge wasn't the storm itself, but how you navigate through it? This is how mental strength is built, not by avoiding life's storms, but by learning to weather them. Ethan is a 35-year-old entrepreneur who seemingly has it all: successful business, luxury cars, and a family that looks perfect from the outside. But what people don't see is the internal storm he faces daily. Behind closed doors, Ethan's mind is overwhelmed. Stress, anxiety, and self-doubt crash over him like relentless waves. He feels stuck, believing that with every new achievement, the pressure only grows heavier. One day, his world hits a tipping point. Ethan's biggest client threatens to pull out of a multi-million-dollar deal, his marriage is strained, and his health starts to deteriorate from the constant stress. He can't sleep, his thoughts spiral out of control, and he realizes he's on the verge of a breakdown. Just when things seem darkest, Ethan receives an unexpected call from an old mentor, Mr. Wilkes, who had retired years ago after building a life based on wisdom and balance. He invites Ethan to a secluded cabin for a weekend, away from the noise and distractions. Ethan reluctantly agrees, desperate for any solution. The cabin is situated deep in the mountains, surrounded by towering trees and endless silence. On his first morning, Ethan is greeted with a challenge: chop wood for the fire. He scoffs, thinking it's a waste of time, but Mr. Wilkes smiles knowingly and says, "Your mind is like this axe. It can either feel dull and powerless, or with time and patience, it can cut through anything." Each swing of the axe feels pointless at first, just as every attempt Ethan has made to control his life seemed to lead nowhere. But as time passes, he realizes it's not about the strength behind the swing. It's about consistency. The more he focuses on the rhythm and technique, the better he gets. And soon enough, the wood begins to split effortlessly. Life's storms, Mr. Wilkes explains, are not meant to break you. They sharpen you. The more you show up, the stronger you become, just like that axe. As the weekend progresses, Ethan starts to connect the physical tasks around the cabin with the mental resilience he needs to develop in life. He realizes that mental strength is built not in moments of crisis, but in daily, intentional efforts. Instead of being controlled by his thoughts, Ethan learns to control them. He starts practicing mindfulness, becoming aware of his swirling thoughts without being consumed by them. Meditation, journaling, and reflecting on small victories become his daily tools. Mr. Wilkes teaches him that mental strength is like a muscle. It grows when you challenge it, but it also needs rest and care to avoid burnout. On the last day, Mr. Wilkes reveals a secret that changes Ethan's perspective entirely. Years ago, he had faced a similar collapse in his own life. In his early days, Mr. Wilkes had lost his company, his family had fallen apart, and he'd nearly given up. The cabin wasn't just a retreat for others, it had been his refuge when he was at rock bottom. The twist strikes Ethan deeply. Even those who seem the strongest have battled unseen storms. The realization fuels his determination to keep moving forward, knowing that setbacks are part of the process, not the end. Ethan returns to his life with a renewed sense of control. He still faces challenges. The client may still leave, and his marriage needs work, but his perspective has shifted. Every obstacle is an opportunity to sharpen his axe, to show up, to be patient with himself, and to continue building strength. The final message resonates. Life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. Mental strength isn't about avoiding life's storms. It's about learning to sail through them. You may not be able to control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. And with each challenge, you're not just surviving, you're growing.